How are you open to getting paid a commission and getting rid of the property where I take over the payments?
Most people will tell you that you can't do creative real estate investing with properties listed for sale with real estate agents. While it's true most agents have no idea what creative financing is, let alone how to present it to a seller, that doesn't mean it can't be done. You just have to know how. So on this video, I'm gonna break it down for you using a real live deal. Get ready to look over my shoulder and watch me offer creative financing on a house listed for sale with a real estate agent coming up.
For a limited time, you can get a free copy of Jerry Norton's Quickstart Kit with everything you need to flip your first house in 30 days or less. Download it now at myquickstartkit.com.
If you're new here, I'm Jerry Norton and I went from dead broke to millionaire flipping houses, and after doing 1,000 deals, I created this channel to help you master the art of wholesaling and flipping real estate so you can live your dream life. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to get notified when new videos are released. Recently, I was on the phone with a real estate agent attempting to make a cash offer on her brand new listing in one of my remote markets. Now, the house was listed for sale for $93,000, and the all cash number that worked for me was $80,000. Now, when I told her I need to be at $80,000, she replied that $80,000 cash wouldn't work because the seller owed more than $80,000 on her mortgage with the bank. Now, not only that, but she was behind on her payments. Now, that immediately caught my attention because there may be an opportunity for me to take over the seller's existing mortgage. Taking over a seller's loan is a creative financing strategy known as subject to. It means you're buying the property subject to the existing financing. Subject to is one of my favorite ways to buy real estate because it allows me to get into deals with little money and sometimes no money down. Now, I'm going to explain more how to do this, so keep watching, but take a listen to my response when the agent told me the seller owed more than $80,000 on her current home loan.
What do they owe on it?
I don't know. I believe it was in the 80s to mid 80s, I think it was.
What's the payoff? 93?
No.
So the agent said that she thinks the seller owes in the mid 80s on her loan. Now, once I heard that, I knew instantly that I wanted to present a subject to offer on this deal, but I also know that my only shot at pulling this off would be if I get the agent 100% on board with presenting my offer to the seller. Remember, the seller hired a real estate agent, and that agent represents the seller in any and all negotiations that take place. That means I don't get to talk to the seller directly ever, unless the agent facilitates it, but that doesn't normally happen. So for a subject to deal to work, I have to convince the agent of the benefits, and then the agent has to present my subject to offer to the seller and convince her of the benefits. Generally speaking, it's difficult to do creative financing with on-market properties because most agents don't understand creative financing and are unwilling to even consider it, and they're unwilling to present that type of offer to their clients, and they're unwilling to help the seller see the benefits. And since more than likely the seller doesn't understand creative financing either, unless that agent does a good job of helping the seller feel comfortable, your creative financing offer is dead in the water. So put yourself in the place of the agent right now. What do you think is their number one concern about a creative financing offer? If you said getting paid, you are sharp as a tack. In case you didn't know, real estate agents get paid commissions from the seller, not the buyer, and those commissions come out of the proceeds to the seller on the day of closing. So for example, let's say a house sells for $100,000 and the seller agreed to pay a total of 6% in commissions. That means at closing, the seller has to pay $6,000 from her proceeds to cover those commissions. Now, let's say that the seller owed $100,000 on a mortgage with the bank, and you wanted to offer to buy the property subject to and take over the existing loan. Since there are agent commissions of $6,000 that need to be paid, you would need to offer $106,000 subject to, with $6,000 down to be paid in cash at closing. Now, if that's unclear at all, don't worry, I'm going to use my deal as a real live example in a minute, so keep watching. My point is, don't ever think about offering a no money down subject to offer with agents involved. You have to make sure that they get paid. Not only do you need enough cash to cover commissions, but also any closing fees and back payments to bring the loan current if the seller is behind. Now on my deal, take a listen to how I presented my offer to the agent, and then we'll come back and I'll explain what just happened.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. How are you open to getting paid a commission and getting rid of the property where I take over the payments, subject to?
It's funny, we did have another gentleman that came in and asked us that.
It solves everybody's problem.
I know. We didn't take that because we ended up getting the offer for 80 right after that.
Seriously, whatever it is, let's say it's in the 80s, is her. So no, here's what would have to happen. You figure out what her loan balance is, and then figure out what the number is to make it current. Let's say that's $5,000, and then let's say that your commission is whatever it is. I would pay all the cash to get it all done. She's not walking away with any money, even if there's a short sale, so it doesn't matter to her.
Exactly.
So we get you paid, we get it all caught up, and then I just take over her financing. I just take over her existing debt. I do it all the time. I've got a whole portfolio of these. It's serviced, so the payments get paid on time, you know. I got the right team that does the whole thing. They're actually really easy to do.
So I offered to bring the loan current, pay the commissions, and cover closing fees, and take over the loan. So let's break down what this would look like. Let's say that her outstanding loan is for $85,000, and since she hasn't been making payments, let's say another $5,000 to catch up the late payments. And let's say that the agent commissions are $3,000 and maybe another $1,500 to $2,000 in closing fees. So in total, I would be paying $95,000 for this house, which is $10,000 in cash to cover all of the fees at closing, and then take over the existing loan of $85,000. Now, I hope you see that the only way this deal would work is with the $10,000 down on the deal. The seller gets out of the deal and avoids foreclosure on her record. The agent gets paid, and I get a low money down deal. Now, you might be wondering, why in the world is $95,000 even a deal if my all-cash buy price was $80,000? That's a huge increase in price to go from $80,000 to $95,000. And the answer is because it's all about the cash outlay. For $10,000, I get to own this property. Now, it's true, $95,000 puts me out of formula to fix and flip the deal, but this is a great neighborhood for a buy and hold rental property. Now, if you're not into rentals, you can wholesale that subject to contract to another buy and hold investor for a premium because you pass on that creative financing structure to that new investor. But honestly, the right subject to property might make a lot of sense to hold onto as a long-term rental. Now, there are 6 possible benefits to consider. The first is obvious, which I already mentioned, and that's low cash to own a house. With subject to, I get the deed to the house, but keep in place the seller's long-term loan. Number 2, since the loan stays in the seller's name, in essence, I'm using their credit to buy the house. The loan will not show up on my credit or affect my debt to income or ability to borrow. Like I said, the deed will transfer to me, but the loan stays in the seller's name. That's huge. Number 3 is cash flow. This house will easily rent for $1,000 a month. So after loan payments, taxes, and insurance, the monthly cash flow is approximately $400 a month. That means my year 1 annual cash-on-cash return for the $10,000 investment to get into the deal is almost 50%. That's incredible. The fourth benefit is principal paydown. A portion of every loan payment applies to principal, so over time, I'm paying off the loan, which increases my equity. Number 5 is a big one for me, and that's the depreciation write-off. Depreciation is a non-cash tax deduction allowed by the IRS that lowers my taxable income. Number 6 is appreciation. Over time, real estate values usually go up. So over time, as the tenant pays down the loan and values go up, I create more and more equity. So when you add up all of those benefits, you could see why paying $95,000 to buy this house subject to might make a lot of sense. Of course, you don't have to do subject to just hold long term. You can wholesale or flip. I have a deal right now that I recently bought for $110 subject to and took over the loan of $78,000, and I'm flipping it and not holding it because it's not ideal property to hold, but a great one to flip. Okay, so back to our offer. After presenting to the agent the idea of subject to, she was open to that idea and she wanted to know more about how it works. So take a listen to how I explained it.
Now let me ask you this, because I've never done this before, and I did run it past my broker at that time.
Uh-huh.
How does that work? Do you get the title?
Yeah,
like
it's...
the deed?
Yep, so I get the deed,
So she's
but...
wiped clean and free?
Not exactly.
Okay.
You can't
So
transfer
I'm
the
glad I
debt.
asked.
You can't transfer the debt. So technically the loan stays in their name, right? But I make the payments.
Okay.
And I take title. So I'm on title, but the loan's still in their name. It really is the best solution for something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Why take out existing debt with new debt from an investor's point of view?
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of dumb if you think about
absolutely. Yeah, no, it is.
And you would make, let's say you got the thing for, let's just take 85 for a round number. 85,000 at 3% is 25.50. That's what you'd get in a commission, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's bump it to 3. So I'll pay you $3,000, right? Because you'll help on my side with things. But I got a team, title, all of it that'll do it. I'm supposed to close tomorrow on another one. So then I pay a $3,000 commission. I pay whatever closing fees are. Let's say that's $1,500 or whatever. And then let's say it's $5,000-6,000 or whatever it is to get her made whole again. I pay that to the bank. It's back in good standing. Everything's caught up. Penalties and back payments are all caught up. And then we service the payment so the seller always knows that payments are being made. The title company we use actually does it. They set up the servicing. So then I pay them, they pay the bank.
Okay. No, I mean, that definitely seems like a smart idea. Definitely an option.
Can you present that to her?
I definitely can.
Well, I'm unrepresented,
Yeah,
so there's no agent on my side, so you don't have to worry about any of that. I'd work directly with you. Why don't you get with that seller and just say, hey, we get the same end result, but we can get this done like next week.
So I'm going to touch base with her tomorrow, and then I will definitely let her know this option, and if she would like to do a call and talk with you and, hear the scenario, then definitely can do that.
Awesome, Ashley. Look forward to trying to put something together on this.
So after explaining it to her, she seemed to get the general idea of how it works, and she agreed to present that offer to her seller. So the numbers I used were obviously hypothetical since the agent wasn't certain what the numbers were. So I told the agent that if the seller was open to doing the deal subject to, the next thing I would need would be a bank payoff letter. This would show the outstanding balance as well as total amount of back payments to bring the loan current. So we'll see what happens, but let's say that the seller is on board. What are the next steps? Well, I have a specific subject to contract pack that has all of the paperwork needed to do a subject to deal. It includes a subject to purchase contract, a subject to addendum, a limited power of attorney, a borrower authorization form, and get this, a specific subject to assignment that I can use to assign or wholesale my sub to deal to another investor. Now, if you plan on doing sub 2 deals, this contract pack has everything you need, and I'll give you my entire subject to contract pack for free, but it gets even better. You see, there are a lot of moving parts with subject to deals, so I use an expert team to handle the entire subject to transaction for me. They handle everything from working with the seller, getting all the paperwork done, title work, setting up loan payments, the closing, even assigning the deal to other investors if you want to wholesale the deal. All of it. And if you want to use my expert team on your deals too, I'll give you a code that gets you like 30% off using their services, and trust me, it's worth it to have them do it for you. So to get my subject to contract pack and the 30% off code, leave a comment and say, Jerry, you are a flipping genius. Give me the free subject to contract pack and 30% off discount code, and I'll give you the download link. So this video was specifically about making a subject to offer to a real estate agent. Next, I want you to watch a video where I use a real deal example with a private seller. You'll learn how I presented and made the offer directly to the seller and got them to accept the deal. So watch that now, and if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to my channel. With over 600 videos, this is the #1 channel on YouTube for all things wholesaling and flipping, and I'll see you on the next video.